And now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing to you first, fighting out of the red corner. He's wearing the gray silver with black trim. His official weight of 118.8 pounds. Hailing from Manchester, England, United Kingdom, Sean Jackson. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner. He's wearing the red and white. His official weight of 117.8 pounds. And tonight, he is making his professional debut. Hailing from Tilbury, Essex, England, United Kingdom, Harvey, the King of Stag Smith!
All right, gentlemen, let's keep it clean. Obey my commands at all times. Protect yourself at all times. Touch gloves, good luck.
You can see how keen Harvey Smith is for this boxing debut. It's around 30 years or so ago that a young Barry Jones started out on his professional career. Barry, you remember?
It was October the 28th.
1992.
1992.
Can you remember the emotions?
I was 37 at the time.
Can you remember the emotions?
Oh, mate, it's like, even though I had a long amateur career and box at a decent level, it's nerve-wracking, it really is. And it's all about, and you want to impress, and I say this all the time, we say this all the time, but it's really important just to keep your composure. You do have skill, you have ability, that's why you turn pro, to be ambitious. So don't rush your work to impress, just do what you do well, and that'll be impressive enough.
And Andy, as a commentator, how do you balance expectation with being completely fair for a young newcomer?
It's not the easiest thing to do sometimes, is it? Because you hear a lot about somebody before that professional debut, there's a spotlight on them, and automatically you expect something, and you can tend, I found, one can tend, I don't mean you, Stedo, you can tend to be a little bit too critical sometimes, and you forget that it's their pro debut. You forget that no matter what they've done as an amateur, and no matter how experienced they are at that level, that this is something new, and that they will be feeling it. I like Jackson as an opponent for him as well, though, because we do expect 6 rounds here, and you can tell from watching him immediately, boxing out of the orthodox and southpaw stance, and the way he's going about things, he knows exactly what he's doing in there.
Yeah, very clever, good guard, plenty of movement, not a sitting target. There's been a couple of really explosive little flurries so far from Harvey Smith, so both doing what they're supposed to do, Barry.
He looks really good, Smith. Oh, it's a good shot there from Smith there. Jackson changing stance there, but as he just moved to the orthodox stance, he jumped in with the right hand there, Smith. I tell you, it's just the judgment. This is really good. He's jumping into attacks. He's sharp, fast hands. Working up and down the levels as well. I think it's a really good start here.
You'll love this, Barry. One of his favourite fighters, James Toney.
Oh, nice.
There is something old school about his kind of likes and appreciations. I heard him mention Tom Yankello in an interview as well, and that's Paul Spadafora's mentoring coach. So there's something old school and interesting for you as well. So he's got an unusual tastes and backgrounds from a boxing perspective, and that makes him interesting.
Another good right hand again, and he's really aggressive without getting too close and allowing Jackson to hold on. And he maintains that distance.
Well, it's that. We talked about our expectations or our balancing of the situation, the occasion, and expectations, but the balancing act for the young fighter must be extremely difficult, Andy.
I think it's a tricky one to get right. I really do, because they expect an awful lot of themselves, and anything short of what they've decided would be a satisfactory outcome, and they can tend to mark themselves down. But ultimately, all you can do on any given night in any professional sport is you get in there, you see what happens, you adapt as best you can, and you achieve the best outcome that can be achieved on the night. And if it's not a stoppage, then it's not a stoppage. And He does look like he's got that kind of maturity about him, though, doesn't he? He looks nice and at home in there. He's not in a rush. I think he's just taking his time there, seeing if he can find the gaps, and if he can exploit the brilliant. If it goes 6, then it goes 6.
And that's why a matchmaking is very important. You know, you get a guy who will fall over for him, giving that confidence and knocking everyone out. But again, that's not a reality gauge, is it? This, you know, someone like Jackson who's very almost impossible to stop. If he can get a stoppage, that puts a massive statement. If he doesn't, he gets 6 rounds of learning to manage a fight, which is more invaluable than anything.
Here we go then.
I'm only saying that because I never stopped anybody. But
into round 2. Now and then.
But you know, my first fight with the guy was undefeated in 3 fights. So you know, I had a guy who was competitive, which made me, you know, even though I won the fight, probably made me look better because he was throwing punches with gaps. People like Jackson here, who, you know, are like you're a shoe-in to win the fight, but he won't give you any opportunities to really, you know, look good. So you've got to force that. And what I think what Smith's doing here, he's dictating the pace, and that's allowing him to show his ability.
I like the way he's kind of quickening into the space, Barry, as well. He's not finding too much difficulty closing the gap, but he's doing it in different ways.
And you know what he's doing as well? See him bend his legs every now and again. See it there? Just before he that allows him that acceleration of the pace. Just the little bend of the legs means you can push off that back foot. Just, you know, just to surge forward with a bit of a acceleration.
Tried to work behind the double jab there, Smith. So far, sparkling through the first couple of rounds on his debut.
He's really good, isn't he? Really good to watch.
Is that, again, the balance of the sort of energy, intensity, positivity, but with the thought and technique behind it.
Well, already, and I suppose, sorry, Andy, I suppose you're thinking the same. You're looking at him now in a view against a guy who's coming to win. What would he be doing there in a competitive fight? Because some of these punches there against a guy who's throwing might have a different effect.
He's just on Jackson all the time, isn't he? Without ever really looking like he's rushed. He'll just gather those feet, follow him across the ring, but he cuts the ring off pretty well. And as you both said, he's got that little surge. Once he gets inside a certain circumference, if you like, then his feet just become that bit quicker, and he'll punch on the way in without being all that set. But just like he did there, right hand lead, kind of up jab almost, but it just about got its way through the guard. This is going to be hard work for Jackson, who is well set up and definitely knows what he's doing, but this is going to be these are going to be 6 long rounds.
Yeah, demanding. Right hand to the body was a cracker of a lead shot there from Smith too, so no force at all in his work. There's that lead right hand to the body. That is a punishing shot, and that's the kind of shot that really can build something.
And he's accurate with his work as well. Really, you know, economically really good. See Jackson trying to change, you know, just dip his legs now and again, trying to get the shots to go over his head. They normally would.
It's third time in this round he's landed that right hand to the body.
It's almost a screw shot, isn't it? Almost, and I'm not saying he's anything like Nazim Hamid, but the same shot that Naz used to throw with a bit more conviction. A little like push off the back leg and sort of push your body, drive your body through into that little screw shot with the right hand.
Well, that he did produce one of those. Andy called it at the start of the round, didn't he? That sort of almost corkscrew right uppercut. It's a really impressive round from Smith. And he's just starting to milk it and enjoy it, soak it up. Little smile, wave to his fans over on the far side as well. But there was lots to savour from that round, Andy.
There was, and that replay we just saw there, something I've seen fighters do a bit more than I have done previously in the last couple of years, I think. Whether it's my imagination or whether it's true, I'm not entirely sure. But they'll throw a right hand, put plenty into it, and just kind of let their feet cross and end up in a southpaw stance, or at least square, and then really put something on that left hand, which is almost like a lead left hand. I'm quite a fan of it. I think if you've got the confidence to do it, it can really work. And he did it a couple of times, almost did it a couple of times in that first round, where he throws that lead right hand, takes his right foot forward, so he's almost just stepping into a really big jab, and then throws a left hand off the back of that.
What that does is it puts you in a position, it almost squares you up, pushes you to put all the weight into that left hook to throw your body into it. The worry for that is you're square-footed. That's the worry. So you got to hurt him with that right hand. With that first shot, it's got to be a real shot with purchase. Otherwise, you're walking into a left hook of your own.
It takes some confidence, doesn't it, to do it?
And also, but it's a risk factor. But it isn't all boxing. Every time you throw a punch, you're taking a risk of getting caught back.
into round three.
Sorry, you're never going to take a risk, and you're going to have a record where you don't stop anybody. Imagine that.
Into round three, and already landing a couple of sharp, fast right hands, both head and body, Smith. The pressure is incessant, constantly asking questions here of Sean Jackson. He's a gym mate of Dan Booth, who's going to be fighting Marley Mason over 8 a bit later on.
That's a good fight.
Yeah, I think they're going to meet in the middle, aren't they?
That's a right little tear up.
Just away to our right-hand side, Joe Pennington, who's cornering Jackson here from north side up in Manchester at the absolutely supersonic amateur club up in the northwest. Been going for a really, really long time, done great things. And we used to see him up and down the country, didn't he, with one of my favourites from recent years, Willie Warburton. Tremendous away corner fighter, Willie Warburton.
One of the best in this role. A role that Jackson is now fulfilling, and doing so as earnestly as he usually does, but perhaps troubled a little more than he often is tonight.
And the good thing here about, you're worried about, when you have a success against a journeyman and he's allowing you to wail away, there's not much coming back. Then you try too hard, you put too much into your shots, and then after 3 rounds, you're knackered. But I think Smith here, he's just taking his time, isn't he? As Andy said, he's not rushing his work, nice and composed, and I think he's just boxing at a nice pace that's comfortable for him, which means he can do this for every round, I feel.
Yeah, I don't see him slowing down.
No.
The way he's going about things, I really don't. It's just a little tap and then sinks that right hand in again there, and the legs are nice and supple. There's plenty of suspension there, isn't there? He's not rigid, he's not really forcing anything. Nothing looks like an effort.
Yeah, it's flowing, and it's all natural, isn't it?
I'm glad Jackson threw that right hand there, just to remind Smith there that things can come back your own way. Don't they get too complacent.
And again, just buying himself a bit of space there with that little left hand, Jackson.
Just got to be in mind here, Smith, that he doesn't always look for the big shot. He still can work behind the jab every now and again.
Jackson's defence is so good, isn't it?
But
That left hook, yeah, gets low. He's swiveling, turning. His footwork's good. He copped that left hook from Smith on his right glove. Oh, and mindful of that, and just managed to dodge and weave away from some of the bother through that last minute. That's actually probably a more comfortable final minute that was for Jackson.
Yeah, but again, he'll twist and turn, dip low into the shots, just trying to take the sting out of him by using the ropes to a full advantage. But this is a hard night for him. Because as we said, Smith's never given any space for 1 second. He follows around the ring, maintains the distance so he can jump into his shots as well. So don't allow Jackson to hold him very often. Not allowing Jackson to fire back. It's been a really good display here from Smith. Again, and we mentioned in the last one, mature display.
And good pace, Andy, too.
Yeah, if he could do this for 6 rounds, then that's a really good sign that he's worked hard in the gym. You look at the shape that he's in, and it would suggest that he has, but navigating your way through a fight's a difficult thing to do at any stage of your career, even if you're having it all your own way like he is here. But like we've been saying, nothing looks like it's really a big effort for him. It's all just flowing nicely. It's nice and smooth, and I don't think he's come into this fight with some kind of gung-ho expectation that he's put on himself, that I must get a stoppage, I must do this, I must do that. He's just come in thinking, okay, the bell will go, we'll box 6 rounds or fewer, we'll see what happens.
Sure, his team, I'm sure Richard Ajay, I'm sure his team will have been stressing to him the likelihood that this has got 6 rounds written all over it, but the way he's gone about it, and straight into a 6-rounder statement of intent, Barry.
I'm not a fan of 4-rounders. I think you should go into 6 rounds. I understand for the transition, but I think 6 rounds is a good to start. You have to learn to manage the pace. I think those 4 rounds, you don't really get the feel of what it's like to go 6 a bit distance.
And let me ask you this, Barry, talking about managing the pace, so a couple of fierce hooks from either side coming in there from Smith. When you're kind of working through your repertoire, are you, as a prospect, as a debutant in the early stages of your career, you saving a few aces up your sleeve as the fight goes on? Show a bit then, or is it not like that?
I think you just want to show everything. And again, that's where the maturity steps in, what he's shown, because the eagerness to want to impress, sometimes you throw all your cards out there too early. You show him everything you've got. But I think what he's done well here, he's using his legs. When he accelerates in pace or throws a decent shot, he's pushing with his legs. And that's when you just use your body, that's what tires you out. So he's allowing himself when you use your legs, it gives you that natural movement into the shot, which means you can throw heavier and for longer.
What I like, Andy, as well, is the constant upper body and shoulder movement, the changing of the angles as he's coming, just to make sure that he's not necessarily a target.
I think Jackson might have felt a couple of body shots there as he was pushed to the ropes away to our right-hand side. He got nice and low, Smith, and threw a left in and a right, and there was just a little look on his face as he backed off to the ropes, and Smith was on him straight away again, so it wasn't like he could have any real time there, Jackson, to shake anything off if he was badly hurt. But he's chipping away, Smith, and has been from the very, very beginning, and I wouldn't be amazed if he can make this very rough for Jackson in rounds 5 and 6.
It's been pretty uncomfortable through 4 so far, and the pace has been simmering to the boil. Oh, that's a lovely shot. There's one of the big reminders. Clipping left hook from Jackson.
And what he's doing as well here, Smith, because that left foot's on the outside, he's not giving that, when Jackson's in that southpaw stance, he's not giving it any escape route. He can't go to his left because he's going to walk into that right hand, and he can't spin off to his right because Smith's got his foot on the outside. So he sort of corners him in.
He's cut the ring down well tonight, hasn't he?
Oh, really good. I think, that ring generalship we talk about, Smith already showing it so early in his career.
Little touch of gloves between the pair of them as they went opposite directions at the end of that 4th round. Couple still to go. The pace has been continual. The pressure has been persistent.
Just looking at Jackson, up to our right-hand side, he's only a few feet away. They've got the end swell out on the left eye, but other than that, he's not showing too many ill effects. And he's been in the away corner right from the start of his career, turned pro not that far off 2 years ago in the away corner from the very beginning. And you can tell that he knows what he's doing, that he's had a good schooling, hasn't he? He can fight, he can box, and just another example of one of these lads who, if things have been different, if circumstances have been different and he had a bit more backing, then who knows. But he's gone for that away corner, but you can see how he's done what he's done so far.
Smith is loving this. He is absolutely loving this night, these moments, this opportunity, and making his debut. He's really enjoying himself.
I think he'd be relentless in this, halfway through this round, certainly the last round, if it goes that far. I think he will literally be relentless. I think Jackson has enough about him to know how to survive that. But again, I think something you've both touched on here, that this has been a hard night here for Jackson, one of his hardest.
And the body shots have been consistent throughout, and Andy was touching on those, maybe just starting to bear some fruit in the previous round. Well, we'll see in the last 5 minutes.
It'd be really good to see Smith in the last, just over 5 minutes of this fight now, just be able to click up through the gears a little bit and keep accelerating right up until the final bell, because he's boxed this at a good pace so far, but it'd be nice to see him really demand that of himself, to push himself, really stretch himself.
Like I said, you know what's been impressive? It's been a good pace, but he's making Jackson do all the work. I mean, Jackson not throwing the punches. Do you know what I mean? It's a hard pace fight for Jackson, but for Smith, it's a controlled, easy pace.
Well, and also he's forcing Jackson throughout, but he's making him throw some shots, maybe now and then when he doesn't necessarily want to. Backs against the ropes. Just missed with that right hook, Smith. There's no panic in Jackson yet, though. Discomfort maybe, but no panic.
No, there isn't, and I don't think we're likely to see much unless he gets really clipped with something that just takes his senses away, to be honest with you, because he's always looking at exactly what is coming at him. He's comfortable enough in this kind of distance here where he just relies on being able to dip his knees and slip and roll and stay out of trouble. He's got that guard high, but he's never just kind of tucking up behind it, not looking at what's coming his way.
He does have a tail, Jackson, and almost in the second wave, he does just kind of crouch. He just kind of ducks, doesn't he? I don't know if Smith can pick up on that or use it to his advantage.
He just got a nice easy rhythm though, hasn't he, Smith? I think he should up the gears a little bit now, because I think he can, but there's no need for him to do that. I think the control pace that he has to not make any silly mistakes is more important than really looking for the finish and possibly getting caught or cut or anything silly like that. I think it's been a really good performance, real polished so far here from the youngster.
And Jackson can see the finishing line. I don't think it necessarily changes his approach, but it certainly can affect the mind and mood with one more round to go. What do we want to see in the final 3 minutes? Should we see anything different?
I think we will. I think inevitably, because he's been able to box at an easy pace and he hasn't really pushed himself here, Smith. I don't think so. That I think he can. I've got the gears, and it's your debut in front of your home crowd. You've had everything your own way. Everything points to him really putting his foot on the gas and trying to get the stoppage, make a real statement. You've got to get the balance between being sensible and also trying to sell yourself and make a bit of a statement also. So I think he ups the gears without being stupid. I think if he gets caught with a few shots, he will go back to what he's been doing the last 5 rounds.
Here we go then, 6th and final round, last 3 minutes of a professional debut, the one and only night like this for Harvey Smith. He's put forward a really smart performance on his debut, and as Barry predicted, Andy, it looks like we've had an increase in the tempo and a crank through the gears.
And that's what we want to see, because he's got plenty left in the tank. So let's just, as I say, click through those gears and see if he can get something done here in the final round, because 3 minutes is an awfully long time, and Jackson's done really well so far to avoid most of the heavy artillery. But if he just gets caught with one that gets him going a little bit, you just never know.
It's just important as well for Smith. Just at the start of the round, you can rush to come out. That's the first time that Jackson was able to hold him. So just when you do get a bit close, to do that little pivot around the target, just so you can grab onto him. He's got a turn to try and hold, and you got a clean shot. Oh, good punch.
Nice right hand. Fortunately for Jackson, enough of that landed on the glove. As ever, his defences have been excellent tonight. Little wink. I think they've both enjoyed the different challenge that has been presented to each other.
I think one's enjoyed it more than the other.
For sure. But I think Jackson's enjoyed the challenge, and I think he's enjoyed being part of this sort of process tonight. That's his job.
When he'll look back at his career, we all got ambition, but he'll look back at his career and see where the fighters who make it, that he's boxed, and go, I give him a good fight, or I was part of that learning process for him.
Yeah, well, I was just looking back on just this week, actually. This week in, crikey, when was it? Would have been late 90s when Eric Morales became a world champion for the first time. And the passing of the torch.
Yeah, but 95 one, I think.
Yeah, I think mid 90s.
Good shot, lovely left hook.
Nice little jump back, left hook landed, just creating a little bit of space for himself, Smith. In and amongst all the hullabaloo, still finding time to think.
It's a really good performance. He hasn't panicked once or rushed when he's hit the guy with a good shot, and he hasn't gone anywhere. He hasn't tried to overextend or push through the punches and tire himself out. He's kept the control of the tempo of himself. More importantly, so his breathing's always regulated, and he's shown his array of skills. I think it's been a really standout debut.
And closing seconds, Jackson happy to turn away, and no surprise that Jackson was able to see out the 6 rounds. Such a clever little fighter, but that was a terrific debut from Harvey Smith. Ticked a load of boxes right from the very start.
He did. He did, and I think what impressed me most about him is you can see that there's ability there. That's really, really obvious, but just his demeanour more than anything else. He looks really at home in there. He looked at ease with the situation. He wasn't nervous, and it was the fact that he wasn't going hell for leather for some kind of stoppage or extravagant finish or showreel knockout. Maturity really is the word that springs to mind, because you never really know what's going to happen on any given occasion, and he just went in there to box and enjoy himself.
So, second fight of the night. We've got 10 more coming up, and we'll be returning in a few minutes on Dazzle.